Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are at our Pro-Am clinic here, and we're going to be talking about a whole bunch of things that are related to the trumpet and the mind. And if we're lucky, they connect at some points, right? Sometimes they don't, and we have a bad day, right? Anyway, I'm Denny Edelbrock, and I'm actually the executive director and founder of NTC, and we enjoy keeping this Pro-Am group going because a lot of times they turn out to be, big lovers of NTC and stay with us for many years. Students kind of come and go, but as we get into playing more, we'll find out that probably our mind is more important than our body, right? And we can control that with the word psychology. Do you guys know what that really means in the ancient Greek? Just to kind of get us warmed up here a little bit. I didn't know either until about a year ago, so don't feel bad. That's what everybody says. The study of the mind was his answer. Good. Well, actually, in Greek, the two Greek words that make up, ology means like biology, the study of bios, the study of life matter, right? So ology is the study of. Psycho is really, it sounds almost funny to saying that word, is pizouki in Greek, okay? And it means soul. So psychology really means the study of the soul. Isn't that something? So we'll talk about that a little bit today as we talk about the psychology of performing. If we can think about letting, I know this sounds a little hokey, but stay with me. If we can let our soul out, see what we're doing, what we're talking about with our horn, we're going to have a different pipeline from our mind to talk about and think about what we're playing. Does that make sense? Good. So we know the word psychology really means the study of the soul. I think it might have been early psychologists that wanted us to think about it like a science instead of an art or something like the ancient Greeks. The ancient Greeks gave us our word music, right? The 7 muses. So we owe the Greeks a lot. So let's keep that in mind as we go through this. That's great. All right, so let's talk about playing a little bit. Sound is caused by, who can tell us? Vibration and air. Right, okay, good. So let's keep it right from the very basics, and we'll work with this until we develop a concept of how we can really think our way through this. All right, so the upper lip does what? The primary vibration, okay? The bottom lip does the sympathetic vibration, okay? All right, what does that mean? What's a sympathetic vibration? Well, every band director, every junior high band director will know, because there will always be a kid on the tuba that plays way high, screechy, and the snare drum head will rattle a little bit. You know what I'm talking about? But nobody hit it. It's a secondary vibration. So they have to vibrate, and they have to hold each other into place and sort of interlock, right? And that's how the embouchure works. So a lot of times during marching band season, if you're working with high school kids or college kids, they're out there in the marching band field, somebody's yelling and screaming at them to get the high C or something. The upper lip will come over the bottom lip and it'll kind of squeeze tighter, okay? So let's look at this a little bit, see if we can get the computer, and we're going to talk you through this. Whoop, we had it up here a minute ago. There we go. So you guys have your handout. You can look at this. And we'll put this up here so people at home can start to get an idea what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about basic embouchure control and maintenance, okay? So, and then we're going to talk about performing psychology and how to be a master storyteller and all that stuff. So let's look at that drawing at the bottom of the page. See that where it says the old technology? Okay? All right, so the Arbin book even talks about spitting seeds like that, okay? So what we need to do is not to think of this as like a hamburger press, right, where we just squeeze it like this to force it to vibrate faster, okay? That gives you what? A higher pitch, okay? Trumpet players are consumed, you guys know this, with endurance and upper register. I don't care who you are, you always want more of those, and we're always trying to find one more. Okay, you got that. All right, so what we want to do is control it like this, okay, instead of like this, by squeezing it and forcing it to vibrate faster, because anytime we force something, what happens? Bad sound, you're killing your endurance, because we want to learn how to make this easy, right? I'm into easy, right? All right, so we want to learn how to open it and close it like this instead of like this, okay? All right, so we're going to talk about how to do that, how to actually feel the 14 muscles over here and 14 over here that form the embouchure, okay? Now, if we can get them all to work together, they're going to be a lot stronger than if we just use 1 or 2 of them. Okay, we're going to talk about how to play back further. Okay, does that make sense? And we'll get all the workload, the heavy lifting, as far back away from the aperture as possible. Now, what's that going to do for us? That's going to set up this control on these muscles back here. Please go to Gray's Anatomy. Right? That's actually a book. It's not just a TV show, right? And look at those muscular skeletal drawings, and you'll see the farther this muscle goes back here, the bigger it gets. Well, what does that tell us? We want to use it back there, right? We want to use all the muscles we can, including the biggest ones. Good. So we're going to talk about that. You'll see, we'll talk about my embouchure and how you'll see 3 little rows of muscles, almost like little biceps. You'll see how I do most of the work farther back than I do up front. Does that make sense? So we're going to study these concepts and pull them apart into components. Now, what does components mean? Parts. We're going to take it apart and we're going to tweak each little component part, no matter how small, until we get better at it, and then we'll put it back together. Okay? And that's how we learn to relax. You have to be a mad scientist to learn how to relax when you play the trumpet. And you have to use psychology as well, right? All right, good. So let's talk a little bit about this. We're going to talk about some lip slurs, and we're going to talk about playing through the breaks. And were you guys at the Canadian brass gentlemen, Chris and Caleb, when they were here, did you hear them talk about this? They alluded to that. I'm going, right on, guys. He talked about, you start off on the piano, the keys feel like this wide, but as soon as you really get that control, your hands just kind of dart up and down the keys when you're playing scales. Well, that's what this is going to be like. So we're going to learn to cover register breaks, okay, and bring the upper register down to us, okay? As trumpet players, we see that legendary second ledger line, and we freak out. Remember that in high school or whatever? Maybe you still do. I do if I'm tired, whatever. All right, so we want to try to develop techniques to get away from that, right? So we can relax and let our mind control what we're doing instead of freak out because we see 2 ledger lines. Because we're going to know how to bring that down to us. Instead of reaching up to it, we're going to bring it down. Does that make sense? Okay, how are we going to do that? We're going to learn to tighten these muscles here, firm them up, work with them, train them, and then kind of forget about them. So we can reach for those upper partials with air. Now, what's a partial? Let's go back to basics here. You guys know this, but for the people on the webcast that may not know this, let's talk about it. What is a partial?
A slot, sort of?
Well, kind of. If you start on low C, all right, you go up to G, that's the next open partial. You know this. Up to C, that's the next open partial. So we're going to learn how to bend notes. That's one of the techniques we're going to learn to work with, all right? And we're going to learn to work with what I call hyperflexibility, okay? So we're going to learn to go through those register breaks and turn them into toys. Okay, good. So I would love to have a volunteer, if someone would like to do this. I'll show you what you're going to play. Good. Any volunteers? That's your CE, right? You know that. Any volunteers? Sure. Good. You want to come on up? Thank you.
What exactly?
All right. You're going to play C, E, C, E, G, right? I have a C trumpet, but so you're going to play it. All right, so we're going to make this like a private lesson in front of some of your best friends. Okay, is that good?
Yeah.
All right, good. And we're all going to learn from what you do well and what maybe we can tease a little bit. Is that good?
Yep.
I'm sorry, tell me your name.
Nathan.
Nathan, I'm Denny Edelbrock, right? All right, good. What did you hear in Nathan's slurs? Did they sound like mine? All right, can you tell us what the difference is? Well, let's ask you first. You played them, right? You're the boss.
Yeah.
All right, what do they sound like?
They didn't sound as clean. Yours are much more connected, sound more effortless.
Well, how do I connect them?
Taking out the space in between.
How do we do that?
Push the air through.
What? He's a genius. No, I'm just teasing. Okay, we're going to have a lot of fun with this, okay? And we'll pick on somebody else in a few minutes. All right, good. So we're going to learn how to use breath support to connect those register breaks. Oh, what a concept. Making you or helping you relax. All right, good. Now listen to this pattern if you can. Whatever pattern you play is going to be fine. Doesn't matter. It's really the slurs that we're after. It's not the pattern. Good. We're getting better slurs. Now, what do you hear in the slurs? What's the difference between his and mine? Who sound more open? Okay. All right. That's probably because I have more control of my aperture. Remember our drawing? Whoop, we lost it. You guys got that drawing on your handout. Right? Okay. See if we can wake up our sleepy computer. Do I have to press? Oh, good. Good. There it is. All right. So look at that drawing. So what that means is I know how to keep my aperture open and do the work with air. Okay, hold this into place without working with it so much so air can do the work. Listen again. Turn. Got it? Good. Is he playing the exact pattern I'm playing? All right, so we're going to work on these little ears of yours. Those are known as onboard computers. Okay? And I'm playing notes in the staff. So I'm going do, 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 do. All right, so I'm doubling that first. So we're trying to get you to listen, among other things. All right? Because if he can listen to those slurs, he's going to fix them. Okay? All right, good. All right, let's do it again. Big sound. Go for it. Is that better? We got some good stuff going on here. So he's learning to listen, or he's thinking about listening. Okay, good. Let's try another one. E, G, B flat. All right, try it again. Good. Now you'll hear some of, that's a good point. Which are harder, or where is he having most trouble? Up slurs or down slurs? Good, you got it. Nobody ever guesses that. Why would that be harder?
Push more air.
To go down, well, you can't reopen your aperture going down. Okay, and the aperture is going to get a little tighter in the upper register. We know that. Have you ever seen those visualizers? You know what I'm talking about? It's like a little mouthpiece rim on a stick. Okay, all right, so you can do one of those. I do with my students. You watch what you do when you free buzz, right? And sure enough, it will get a little smaller as we go in the upper register. Our job is what, do you know?
To prevent that.
Right, keep it open as far as possible, okay? Don't let it shut down, okay? So that's why down slurs are so unforgiving. They drive us nuts. We think it's counterintuitive. We always think of going up to high C. Well, once you get up there, you know, on a beautiful soul like some of the heroes or something, how do you get back down without taking the thing off your face and relaxing and resetting? Well, you can't. So our job is to keep it open as far as possible to begin with. Does that make sense? Good. Easier said than done, right? Yeah. Good. So listen to his down slurs. You nailed that. Good. It's amazing how often when I ask students that, or even pros sometimes, what their down slurs are like and which are better. And they always think their up slurs are harder. You know, right? So there's a lot of kind of stuff that we have to clean house about. Does that make sense? Good. Let's do this again. That's not bad. You may not do that much. That's very good for your first time, Nathan. All right, what do you hear when he's doing that? Does that sound smooth? Does it sound like the notes come out when they're getting ready to instead of him controlling them? All right, that's hard to do. All right, good. Check this out. All right, now, so what I'm doing is I'm learning to go through those partials, holding this firm with a minimum amount of movement, tightening the way they should be. So I'm using less physical strength. You know about that register key we talk about? Good. What does that do to your embouchure, your chops, your lips? What does it do? What's that?
Tighten them up.
Oh, it puts intense pressure on them, okay? And your recital might be over at that point. Or the big solo. It could be done, right? All right, good. So what we want to learn to do is other ways to think about this and develop ourselves. Learn to use this, okay, where the control belongs. The heavy lifting, I like to use that term. The heavy lifting belongs out here, not here. Right, good. All right, so how about a round of applause for Nathan? All right. Good. Good. Let's have another volunteer. Uh-oh, they're thinking, I'm not getting tortured like that in public. Anybody ready to go? Come on up. Thank you so much for doing this. And hopefully we'll all get a private lesson with him. Does that make sense? And I appreciate you guys being so positive with each other, because that's the only way we learn, guys. Without a healthy atmosphere and open mind, we don't learn, okay? Good. And you are? Timothy. Tim, okay, where are you from?
Florida.
Okay, great. Nice to have you with us. How old are you?
16.
Oh, good. So what, a junior in high school?
Yeah.
All right, good. So we're going to play some scales. Does that sound okay? Yeah. Slow, okay? All right, and I want you to listen to his slurs. Okay, good. So why don't you play an E flat scale? And very slow, but you have to slur. Do, do, do. Can you make it like a melody? Don't play it just like a dorky scale. Let's play it like a melody. Be an artist. Ooh, what is our definition of artistry, gentlemen? I can say gentlemen, we're nothing but males here. What is our definition of artistry? Now, we've got some graduate students here. I'm thinking we should be thinking about that. You're laughing. I never thought about that before. What a great concept. No, I'm just teasing. Every time I ask that, I get the same look. I go, oh, that's what we do here. I like that. All right, so what is your definition of artistry? What are the two main components of artistry? Maybe that'll get your mind thinking a little bit better. I did not make this up. I stole it from a good friend of mine who's a high school band director who went to Eastman. He may have learned it there somewhere. I'm not sure he made it up. But I can't take credit for it. I was just smart enough to say, ooh, that is genius. And if you have a better one that you develop, that's cool too. But at least keep mine in mind, the one I borrowed, so that you've got some place to work from. We have to have a floor plan at some point, okay? Good. So to me, the best definition I've ever heard of artistry is it's the intersection of technology and imagination. Okay? First of all, let's start with the first word. What does intersection mean?
The combination.
Well, they meet at some point, and like in intersection traffic, you could have traffic going this way. Well, they better know what they're doing, or it's not going to be pretty, right? You guys got that. All right, so what do I mean by technology?
The medium.
Is it, ooh, that's pretty good. I like that. You already said medium. That's good. When I say technology, do I mean this?
No.
Absolutely not. Now, these can help us, right? We'll talk about that in a few minutes. But what we're talking about is not even the trumpet. There's so many great trumpets now. It's hard to find and decide on one. I mean, it's crazy how many wonderful horns there are. All right, so it's not the horn, it's not the physical equipment, it's what you're doing here. Of course, it really could be this too, right? Okay, but it's also, what are you doing here? Can you double tongue well fluidly? Are you controlling these muscles back here? Are you just really tight? Okay, so the intersection of technology and what's the most important thing that we always have to bow to?
Imagination.
You're right on. Good for you. All right, so it's the intersection of technology and imagination. Imagination always must rule the day. Has to. Okay, so imagination is going to tell us how to develop our technology to make it work. Okay, now music is the most aesthetic of the arts. What does that mean? We've got to pick those brains. What does that mean? Aesthetic. If you look it up in the dictionary, you'll see like of and pertaining to the beauty of the arts. It's really a stupid definition. Okay. All right, let's say you go downtown and see a play, King Lear. Okay, the king walks out on stage, what's he wearing?
A crown.
Absolutely. He walks out, we know who he is right off the bat, right? Good. All right, Queen walks out, what's she wearing?
Tiara.
A tiara, very good, right. And beautiful flowing robes, okay, probably some fancy jewelry. It's probably really cheap because it's costume jewelry, but it looks great with a spotlight. Okay, we got that. Okay, so that's her, what do we call that? What is she wearing? Or he?
Outfit, costume.
A costume, right, good. So the court jester walks out on stage, what is he or she wearing? I'm sorry? Right, okay, turned up corners on their head, crazy colors that don't work together, and some shoes that are turned up maybe with bells on them. Right away when they walk on, he or she walks on, we know exactly who they are. And sometimes people laugh before they say a word. Oh, nobody asked them to laugh. All right, so they sense something fun is going to happen. Got it. They're wearing a costume, ladies and gentlemen, right? Good. When you play a concert, where's your costume? What are you wearing? You guys don't like these questions. Well, that means we're getting somewhere. That's good. You're wearing probably tux. If you're a lady, long black or something, if it's New Year's Eve, maybe the ladies are dressed in pastel colors or something, right? You might have red bow ties on. What is that? That's a uniform, isn't it? Because they're all dressed the same, right? The trumpet player in the back row who's got the heroic solo, he's dressed up the same as the female who has a pink dress on who's playing the beautiful English horn solo later on. They got the same costume on, they're dressed up. Okay, so where's our costume? Do we need a costume? Are you sure? Remember, we started talking about this, is music is the most aesthetic of the arts. Okay? So how does it become so aesthetic? There's no words. We don't sing like singers do. We don't have words. We have a costume, but where is it? It's up here. Oh, okay. So now we have to connect this with our Greek friends. Remember our definition of psychology from the Greeks, I didn't make this up, Pasuki logos, is the what?
Study of the soul.
The study of the soul. Now we have to connect our costume up here to our soul. Now, if we can do that, we'll forget a little bit about, man, that high C is really hard to, and it's exposed because there's nobody else in the whole brass section. Okay, that can be a little frightening. Let's get to the bottom line. I felt that fear too, so I'm not pretending to be Mr. Superman or anything. And that's one reason why I've had to work so hard to try to overcome it myself. So I'm more than happy to share the tools, okay? All right, so we know our costume is here, costume is up here, and we now have our definition, or at least a starting definition of artistry, okay? Remember, the intersection of
Imagination and technology.
and imagination and technology, and what's much always override.
Imagination.
Right, okay? And that's where we have to design our own costume, okay? So if we're playing, here we go. What kind of costume are we going to put on that? You guys know this, come on. Heroic, conquering, right? Got it? Okay. Well, who's told you the music may say majestic or maestoso, but it's not going to say conquering hero on it. No, that's our costume. That's what we put on, or however you want to think about it, okay? Good. How about if I play this? Same notes, right? Gentlemen? Same notes. What's the costume going to say now? What's that? Oh, okay. Well, I used too much vibrato. It could be mariachi. I like that. Could be beautiful love scene or something. Yeah, okay. We're going to put in same notes. So it's not the notes that tell us what to do, is it? Those little funny black dots we have trouble figuring out sometimes. Good. So I'm sorry, we got to interrupt you. Would you play us an awesome E flat scale, but very slow? Nice and slurred, and go. Good. What were the two weakest slurs? Because you're the brains behind what just happened.
I don't know.
Oh, all right. Now remember we talked about onboard computers, and you really started to listen carefully. That's good. That's what we want, right? Because if you can't hear it, if you're not disciplined, let's talk about the word discipline. What does that mean?
Ability to do what's right.
Okay, good. That goes back to Latin, disciplina, to know, right? If you're a disciple of a great guitar guru or something, you know his playing, his technique. Okay, good. All right, so first of all, we've got to know what's going on. How are we going to know? Right? Okay, there's no chart or graph on my app that tells me that. There may be soon, if you know. Okay? All right, so can you tell me what were his weakest slurs?
The first one and the last one?
Well, you're pretty close. I would say G to A flat and C to D. All right, now we need to discuss those a little bit. Are you ready? What kind of slurs are those?
They are half steps.
They are half steps, okay, good. Except for C to D, that's a full step. Okay, all right, so it's not necessarily how wide the interval is, it's what we know the horn has to do for us, or what we have to do for the horn. So let's talk about the first one. He went from G to A flat. You guys know that's open to second and third, okay? What are we doing to the horn?
Changing the partial.
We are. I need more information. You're adding tubing. Thank you. We're making that sucker longer. Okay. We have a little problem with the laws of physics and acoustics. Oh, it's getting scientific now. Don't worry. You're going to learn all I know about the laws of physics and acoustics in about the next 30 seconds. Okay? Good. All right. So we're making the instrument longer. What's the problem?
It requires more air.
It does require more air. So? You're right about that. I need more information. You're not off the hook yet. We got to think our way through this, right, guys? That's what we agreed on early in the game. Yes?
The wavelength gets smaller.
It does, but there's more information we need.
The problem is you're trying to go higher, but making the tubing much longer.
Right. Go.
In the opposite direction.
Go. Yay! Woo! Applause. Now we got a problem of physics and acoustics we got to deal with, right? Okay, now we're getting somewhere. So we're making the instrument longer. Normally the pitch goes, the trombone slides, you guys know. Brrr, the beautiful your left hand on the piano, the longer strings, you got that. All right, good. How are we going to accomplish that? We're going to train here, and we're going to use more air, right? Good. You want to do that again? Let's do it slow enough so we can see if you can fold that A flat into the G. How about if you support it and reach for it with air? Make the air do the work and listen intensely. Okay, because I would disagree with the slurs that you're choosing, so we want to make sure that we're listening so we know what's going on, right, Tim? That's our healthy first step, right? Good. Da, da. Good. Make it like a solo. Ready and go. Good. All right, look at the sound he's generating. Let's go ahead and go up the scale. And be careful of that C to D slur, because that's a tough one, okay? No, we're not even on the staff. You guys know that. With you, we got way high and all that stuff, and I was showing off. We're in the staff fixing stuff. Basics, okay? It's no different than architecture. You got to have a firm foundation made out of bedrock and all that stuff, okay? And that's how we're going to get him to hopefully breathe through those slurs, connect them so we lower the upper register down. Does that make sense? Does that help? Good. Let's do it again. Listen carefully, but no faster. Now, come on, big breath. Come on.
It got fuller as
Got fuller. Absolutely got more full, we should say, right? Mr. English grammar here. Good. All right, now that's cool. How do we do that? Do I have secret healing powers? Probably not. Okay, I'd be on a whole, my pay scale would be a whole octave higher than it is now. Okay? Or do we get him to think about what he's doing? And actually, the cool thing is he's willing to think about it in front of an audience. Well, that's hard to do sometimes, okay? If you sit home and your practice student do it, that's a different deal. All right, good. Now, if he can do it in front of you, could he do it in a concert? Well, I would think so. That's a good first step, right? Good. All right, how did you reach for those partials? What happened? Why did they sound so fat and juicy?
I accelerated the air.
All right, good. All right, so we're going to repeat this after me. It's in this. It's in the master class. We're going to float on a column of air. Does that make sense? We're going to train these muscles like we talked about with Nathan, and we're going to just kind of put them in there, glue them in there, work with them, train them. No different than doing pitch. Everybody does exercises, guys, right? I don't care if you're a ballet dancer or a football player, okay? You're doing exercises. And what are we doing with our muscles? What's the first secret to figure out what we're doing to train? What do you do as an athletic trainer? You know, you're trying to lose some weight or beef up some biceps. You get a trainer. What do? You've got to isolate the muscles we're dealing with. First of all, it's just no different than physical therapy. If you had an accident, the physical therapist knows exactly which muscles you got to work on, and they'll design exercises to help you. So they're not injurious, but they'll help you a little bit at the time. Okay, good. You got that. All right, so we have to work on those. We're going to pull those partials closer together, like what he's doing here. That's great, Tim. And we're going to reach for those partials with a column of air, right? We're going to float a little bit. Good. Now let's do another one. How about your B flat scale? Could you do just upper octave for us? Is that cool?
Yep.
Do it the same way, but think about what we just learned about. See if you can get it to sound the first time like what you just did on the E flat scale. Would that be good?
Yep.
Awesome. Good. And we'll be your judge. All right. But we want to know what you hear first, okay? Because you're the boss here, right?
Yes.
Good. Let's go. C to D sound as good as the one from B flat to C. You hear that little crack in there? Little fracture? It's not big, but if we can fix that, we know we've got a hold of his mind. Sounds sinister, right? Does that make sense? Because we know he's totally thinking and he's absorbed in what's going on instead of just putting the buttons down because he knows the notes. We don't want to do that. Good. Can you do that again? Yes. Da, da, da. Reach for it. Okay, be an artist. Did the slur to D sound as good as the one from B flat to C? Well, let's do it again. All right, now listen intensely, okay? Good. I'll take that. How did you do that?
I pushed the air faster than someone else.
What a concept. No, good for you. Let's do it again. All right, keep going all the way up. All right, so we can put a little breath accent on them. It can sound like this. Good. It's going to feel da, 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 but it's going to come from down here. Da, da. So let's make sure. Let's guarantee that air is reaching for those notes. Can we do that?
Yes.
Good. Big breath. Come on, Tim. C to D sound is good. Are you guys listening carefully? We're talking about little tiny things now. There's a little crack in it this time. There wasn't the last time. So let's do it again. But I like the way you're putting that air on there. You're warming them up with air. That's good. Ready? Again. In there? Can you guys hear that? Okay, you look puzzled. Can you not hear it? Okay, we'll keep going then. That's good. Listen carefully. You're doing great, Tim. Thank you. You hear that? Good. Now we're getting somewhere. Yeah. All right, good. To me, that's a huge crack. Okay, and if we can get him to, I know we can because you already did it for us. If we can get him to focus on that instead of worrying about, first of all, I have an audience, that's pretty scary. Second of all, I could be going higher, that's scarier too, right? If we can get him to think what he needs to do, because he's done it, he's proved it now, right? There's no way to cop out because we know you can do it, right? Does it make sense? If we can get him to think about that and listen for it carefully, we're going to make him better, whether he likes it or not, right? Good, good for you. Let's go. You're doing great. Come on. You're a great guinea pig, Tim. Thanks. Ready? Doing this for? Oh, look. Can you not do that?
Okay.
Can you concentrate on what's going here? Yeah. Good, let's do it. It's starting to develop a nice open sound, right? You agree? Cool, let's do it. Ready? Super hard slur. Remember, I call that a cross-grain slur, okay? Because it goes against the physics laws. Okay, you got all that. Good. So we know that's extra tough. So let's learn to put some air in there and make it sound as good as the slur from B flat to C, which is great. Perfect. Can you do that? Good. You did the first. Don't be afraid. What do you have to lose? It's going to crack. We're going to laugh, and we're going to pat you on the back. We're going to do it again, right? Yep. Good, because you're actually teaching them. Ooh, that's scary. You're 16 and you're teaching graduate students. That's good. You see where I'm going?
Yeah.
So have fun. Come on, that's why we're here. Ready? Oh. Do you normally play with that kind of sound?
Not really.
Well, good. I have magic healing powers? No, you got a good brain that's learning, okay? Good. All right, so we're kind of learning to get him to think about what's going on instead of reacting to it. We want him to act, not react, right? That's what psychology is, guys, to me, as far as I'm concerned. If you had to boil it down, it's acting, knowing what it's going to take to get up there, focusing on that, having done it so many times in your practice studio or wherever you practice, with your dog at your feet and your soda at your side or whatever you're doing, that you can do it under any circumstances. So that's the way you do it. All right? We don't do it because we're not afraid of it because it's hard. We do it because we know how to do it, right? Okay? Good. All right, now check this out. Scale now, all right? I just played my C concert. Let's play your C, all right? I want you to belt them almost to the point where they could even get a little gross. Okay. Is that okay? Sure. Good. Come on, big breath now. That's the best I've seen you breathe since you've been up here. Okay. Do you know that? Are you aware of that? You go, oh, this is going to be really tough. I'm going to use a lot of air. So, oh, I think I better take a big breath instead of automatically, take a big breath, right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. So sometimes if we make a game out of something, we always just kind of sink and invest more deeply in it. Good. You want to do it again? Come on. Big breath. Ready? You want to play the D? Is that okay? You want to play your C scale? Okay. Go for it. Here we go. Ah! Second valve is the primary fingering for C sharp. Okay, and whatever you want to use is fine for now. And normally, we're here, we might as well talk about it. D is open. Those are the primary fingerings, okay? And after a while, most of us find out those actually feel better. It takes a little while to get used to them. Okay, I get that. But don't worry about that because we're here to talk about other stuff today. Good. Were there breath accents on those notes? Oh, let's not ask you. Let's ask you guys. Were those breath accents? They're telling me no. Think we should do this again? You did it a minute ago. It was awesome. Now, are you thinking, wait a minute, I'm going up high. I don't know if I can do that up high. Or did you just forget? Well, I don't know. It doesn't matter. Can you be proactive? Remember what we want to do now. We want to tell this thing. Remember, you got to be smarter than the trumpet, right? That's what we do here. Okay, good. So we want to think our way through this. And don't hesitate. Don't worry about splattering notes. That's what we're here to do. Da, da. Even if it splatters and gets a little messy. Okay, we're good? It's guaranteed that something's going on here that's really positive. Ready? Don't worry about it. Play it 1 and 2 for today. I know that's what you're used to. Correct. But can you make sure that... You sure?
Yes.
Like significant? Even if it splatters? That's my hand. Go for it. Here we go. Ready? Thank you, Tim. Can you guys hear it? Good. Here we go. Ah! Kid in high school, that's a pretty darn good upper register, buddy. Give me 5. Awesome. Now, how did you do that?
Air.
We're going to use air as a trick. We call down to the engine. I call it the engine room, okay? This is the steering wheels. These are the steering wheels. This is the engine room, all right? So don't get them confused. That's the way it makes the most sense to me in teaching for several decades, all right? That's the best way I know to explain it to students, all right? So we're going to steer the thing here. We know what we need to do, but we're not going to drive it from here. We're going to drive it from here. Because remember, we're going to float.
On a column here.
Brilliant. Good for you. Awesome. How about a round of applause for Tim? Yeah, good. Thank you. Good. Now, we need one more volunteer. Thank you. I appreciate it. You guys are great. I hope you're learning a lot from watching each other go through this. You know, and we keep this in a real healthy, positive context. Okay, good. All right, so we've talked about using breath accents. There's a secondary thing that happens when we do that besides learning to use more air, and it's what your corners do. Okay, I unfortunately don't have my little mirror. I have a little handheld mirror I use with students. Of course, we can also use iPhones as well. But normally, when you go in the upper register, what should you be feeling with your corners? Let's look at our drawings again. And you guys have this on your, okay? Oh shoot, I got to hold my password, the whole deal. Okay, get rid of that. Boop. All right, look at our drawings down here. Look at the middle one, okay? What happens when we go in the upper register? I'm going to call it the new, or I call it correct technology. You can call it whatever you want, okay? My job is not to name it. My job is to figure out how to work so I can get you guys to get better. All right, look at the arrows, how they point. This points down, that points up, and they lock each other into place, like isometrics. Does that make sense? Okay, same thing over here. Good. So that means, isometrics means that no side is going to get weaker because they're going to lock each other into place. It's like an interlocking system of counterbalances. Okay, that sounds way too difficult for what it really is, but all right. So they're going to lock each other into place. Okay? All right, now, first of all, we have to isolate those muscles, and then we have to train them. No different than ballet dancers going on toe or football players charging down the line with that, kickoff run back. It doesn't matter. Exercise is exercise, okay? Whether you're trying to lose weight or lift weights or whatever. All right, good. So what we want to do is we'll use those breath accents, like you were doing a great job, thanks, Tim, and we're going to work with those corners. Now, I honestly don't know why this happens. I'll tell you, in all truthfulness, I've just observed over the years, I'm going, wow, how come I didn't know that when I was a kid? And, all right, so what should be happening, look at our drawings here. Look at the first one now. Let me go back to old technology. All right, so if we, the way most of us learn to play is we squeeze that together, okay, and we lose control over that aperture, okay? So what we want to do is move those corners this way as we go up. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, when I was here, well, I still don't know. I don't know how to explain that to somebody, but I do know how to give you exercises to help you feel those things. Does that make sense? And I'm not sure exactly why it happens when you use breath accents. It's almost like those muscles know they need to move in the right direction to support that extra air. Does that make sense? Okay. Other than that, I don't really know about it. Good. So let's have you do some breath accents, okay? Good. So let's go up to G. Good. You ready? Good. That's your G.
Just to play the high G?
Yeah. Just I'd up the no, work up the scale like I did with you. Mm-hmm. Good. It's too bad I don't have my mirror because his corners are moving in as he accelerates that air into the breath accent. So we're using breath accents and we're training his corners at the same time. It's like a freebie. Okay, I didn't ask him to move his corners. I wouldn't even know how to ask you to move it. I don't know how to tell you how to move this muscle out of the 14. That's crazy. Way too complex for us trumpet players. We're simple guys at the heart, right? Good. But if we use those breath accents, they'll get those corners to move into place. Okay, that's great. Now, we're going to use another technique. It's bending notes. Are you guys familiar with Tunable, an app? There's so many great tuner apps anymore. Hang on. I hate to do this, but let me just return this. All right, so we're going to go to Tunable. It's like $2.99. And there are other good tuner apps, and there may be some that you like better than this, but this is my fave. Okay, we're going to go to Tunable. We're going to go to the tuner. Good. So let's have some fun. Okay. So play your G. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, play your lower one. My bad. Mm-hmm. Good. All right, good. You're right in tune with this. All right, good. So our job is we want this to show how wide or how narrow he can keep that with a really nice controlled sound, okay? So play G, okay? Hold it for 8 counts. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Good. Now we have a graph of what he just did, which I like to do because then you compare the teacher to the student or whatever. Have a student contest or whatever, boys against girls or 8th graders against whatever. Good. Because when we got a game going, remember, we're going to learn more. All right, good. So now we have a graphic representation of what he just did. That's pretty cool. Now we've got something a little more scientific instead of me saying, hey, I thought that sounded pretty good. Well, what does that mean? And if I hear you next week, I think that sounds better than it did last. I mean, give me a break, all right? But if we go, ooh, we got a little bit of science behind us now. Good. All right, so what we're going to do, play that again if you don't mind. Okay, look what it says here. Good. So it says what? It says G. That's the note he played. Cool. It transposes for us, so I've got it on the B flat slot, so it'll tell us what our note is that we're playing in B flat, which you know is G. Good. All right, now, let's put those muscles to the test. All right, so you're going to hold that out for 4 counts, and then I'm going to ask you to pull it down and make that say F sharp for 4 counts. Is that good?
Okay.
Good. Do the best you can, see what happens. Ready? And. That's pretty good. Now, look what he did. He did actually very well, and I watched that F sharp. It didn't flicker once. You held it actually pretty well. Have you ever done this before?
A little bit.
Okay, good. Well, what if we do that every day for 5 minutes? Oh, what a concept. What a commitment, 5 minutes of your busy day. Good. I asked my students to do that. I said, well, do you do that every day? And they go, I think so. I'm going, we got a little disconnect here, guys. Okay, we got a little problem with commitment. All right, good. Now, that was actually very good. All right, now I'm going to ask him to hold the G. We'll go down to F sharp, and then we'll see if we can get this down to F. Now, and we'll see how far we can push you, okay? Good. So our job is not only to get to F, but if you can, hold it from flickering off. So it's really convinced that you got an F. Is that good? Good.
Go straight to F? Or
Yeah, go G for 4 counts so you kind of feel what's going on. Go to F sharp for 4 counts or something. So lazily, so you can control. Remember, you have to be smarter than the... So we want to know what's going on. In fact, we want to predict what's going to happen.
Okay.
Right? We don't want to see later.
So go to F sharp first? And
Yeah, go to G for 4 counts, F sharp for 4 counts. So you can say, okay, I see what that feels like. And then pull it down to F for 4 counts and say, because then I'm going to ask you some questions. Okay, we good? Because remember, you are smarter than that. Good, thank you. Good. Now it flickered a couple of times when he went down to F, but it went down to E. So he was almost pulling it a little bit lower. That's cool. All right. Good. Now, my friend, I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name. Sorry.
Aaron.
Aaron. Thank you, Aaron. So what's going on here, Aaron? You're playing that note playing all those notes without them fancy valves. We have just made one of them natural trumpets out of the sucker. Good. All right. So what's happening? Is this magic? Again. I ask, do I have magic healing powers? Aaron can control this trumpet without valves. Remember, valves are for weenies. Repeat that after me. Valves are for weenies. We got that? Good. All right, so what's going on, Aaron? I didn't do it. You did it. I just asked you.
I'm not sure I can explain.
Well, how are you going to teach if you don't know how to explain it? Well, actually, I don't even know how to explain it myself. All right, but can you, let's do it again. And now that you know what I'm going to ask you, to concentrate on it, okay? Is that helpful? Because if you kind of know what's going on, you can feel it, then you're going to be able to convey that to someone. Good. That was great. Here we go. Ready? Good. I was going to try to get you down to E, but that's good. All right, so what's happening here? What do you feel? Don't be afraid of a wrong answer.
Something with the corner.
Something. I have a something going on here. This is a something. You're a doctoral student, right?
Master.
Oh, well, that's why you didn't get that. No, I'm having fun. Okay, because this is hard to talk about, but if we can kind of break it into like jokes and having a good time with it, we'll learn. All right, so tell us in your own words what's going on here. Sorry. Hey, we'll be there in a few minutes, okay, buddy? Okay. All right. Thanks. Sorry about the phone call.
That's okay.
That's what it is when you're the executive director, right in the middle of your webcast. All right, good. So what's happening? Tell us in your own words.
I think I felt my corners keep solid, firm a little bit as
Okay.
I bent the pitch.
Good. Can you tell, are they moving in any particular direction?
I think in just slightly.
When you say in, which direction is in?
Like towards
Whoop.
the center.
This also has a, whoop, this also has a metronome app on it, which is obviously getting the better of me. Remember, okay, you have to be smarter than the app, right? Okay, good. All right, let's do it again, and I'm going to ask you specifically, what direction do you feel these moving? Okay, because you should probably know, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. You're doing great. Thank you. Good. Good. What direction?
Just a tiny bit towards this way.
Yes. Thank you. Now, I didn't ask you to do that, okay? Because I really don't know how to ask you except to show you, okay? But let's go back to those dorky drawings I have, because I don't know how else better to convey this, right? You see where the, see if I have to wake this baby up. All right. All right, see where what I'm calling the new technology, where they help him go towards the center? You are now controlling your corners in a really smart way. Okay? You're making them do the work. Now, what did your aperture feel like? Do you know what I mean by aperture? The whole,
Yeah,
where the vibration, yeah.
I think it felt pretty close to not changing too much.
Okay, is it changing at all? Do you think you should know?
Probably shouldn't.
Let's do it again, okay? Good. Hey, let's for fun, you're doing, oopsie, let's turn that off, okay? Let's do this again, and let's even go even down to E.
Okay.
You're doing so well, I assume you'll probably get it, so let's go. We're going to experiment, right? Remember, Thomas Edison was quoted as saying 10,000 experiments to develop the stupid light bulb, okay? So a lot of those were not successful, but he learned from, oh, okay, good. Took him 9,999 times to figure out how to do the wrong way. Okay, good. It won't take that many, so don't.
Okay.
Good. Let's even go down to E natural. Good. So start again. Feel your aperture. 2. Good. That was excellent. Good. Now what do you feel in your aperture?
Closed it a little bit.
Okay, good. You're now getting control of it, and you now know what's going on. Oh, knowledge is, he's learning something that maybe, that's been going on for a long time, right? You're not a young man. I mean, you're not a kid anymore. Good. So this has always been going on. He's been using all these muscles, but I'm not sure he really understood what was going on. Maybe I'm wrong, and that's cool too. But he's learned to feel them in a new way, or make sure they do what he wants them to do instead of what they think they have to do from years of, like we all do, practicing things wrong, or just getting in the rut and digging it deeper and deeper, okay? Does that make sense? Good. All right, so you can feel that open up, okay? You can feel how you control it, and you feel those tighten up. Now, wait a minute. Let's think about this. We're going lower, but we're tightening this up? It's a little perplexing, but that's okay. The reason it's happening, the only way I know how to explain this, is because we're asking the horn to do things it's not designed to do. And the only way we have to do that is get control of here. Because normally, if you go lower, you loosen it up, but you have to loosen it up in the right way, like this, not like this. That's why so many young players go in the low register and the whole thing just falls apart. They have no control over their sound, because they're opening it like this instead of like this. We're trying to get you to feel these, so these corners are anchored. And you guys too, when you guys were demonstrating for us. Does that make sense? Okay, so did you learn anything about this today? Okay, could you incorporate this into your practice technique just for 5 minutes a day, doing some of these things that we do? Okay, it's not hard. I mean, you just got to you've got to be able to put the clock down, and it's not about, I don't have my 60 minutes in, I got to keep, no, it's about, are we getting better? And I made that mistake. I'll tell you routinely, I'll give you guys every mistake I've ever made in my life. My first 2 years in college, I was going 4 hours a day. It was stupid, almost in a row. I had my 8:30 sizing class or whatever. And practically from 9:30 to 1:30. It was stupid, okay? My right hand is up, I'm swearing, and I'm saying it was pretty stupid. I thought if I keep doing this, it's going to get, well, guess what? I was doing it the wrong way, okay? And I knew from a couple of graduate students that said, hey, your corners are pulling back like this, okay, which does what to the aperture? It tightens it, but it's straining it. Okay, that's every bit as bad as using the register key as we're talking about, right? It's straining it. It's making it artificially tighter. Well, there's going to be a glass ceiling to that. We're not going to be able to get above until we learn how to use it properly. So we can relax and use more air like Tim was. Okay, use air to reach for those notes, because we're going to float on a, right, Good. We're going to learn to control this so it works for us instead of against us. So we can control how it's going to work with us, and we can make it work for us, and we're going to get better because we're controlling it instead of it letting it do what we think. You know, and I'll tell you over and over how many hours I practiced. I did everything wrong, and I thought I was going to get better. All right, Einstein, remember that old line from Einstein? What's that word, Charlie?
The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
Right. Did you guys all catch that? He quoted it much more eloquently than I did. Thank you, Charlie. You're the man. All right. So here I am, I swear, 4 hours a day, doing the exact same thing and getting better at all the wrong things. Okay? So that's why we have to get out of it. We have to look at this as I like to use the word laboratory, okay? So that we experiment in laboratories, all right? So we've got a lot of really cool tools that some of you guys maybe thought about. We learned a little bit about the science and physics of the trumpet. You know, it gets longer. Okay, that's all those valves do. They make that little thing longer and longer and longer, okay? So we have to overblow the fundamentals. We're going to do that with air and control here. So we'll learn not to worry so much about the upper register. Well, how about a round of applause? I'm sorry, one more time. It's Aaron. All right, Aaron, you're the man. Good. Now we have a few minutes. You guys have any questions? We haven't had any questions for you guys all the entire period. So either you believed intensely on everything I said, or you're dumbfounded, or something. Any questions? Yeah, please. No question's a dumb question. I struggled years to do this stuff, and I know what that's like. I know where you are. So yeah.
So when I first started getting the upper register with my playing, I would push the corners forward, and I noticed that wasn't getting me the results that I desired. So I started pulling them back, and I started getting much better, not only better sound, but also better range.
Without seeing what you're doing, I mean, I hear the words you're saying. Without seeing you do it, I don't know how to answer you. Okay? What we do have to do is pretty much lock these into place. Okay? And if that's what you're feeling, I'm not in the business of telling you what you're feeling. I'm telling you in the business what it feels like to me and basically what's happening. You know, we're all different. We're going to feel things and kind of record them mentally differently. Does that make sense? Yep. Okay, so we can do those breath acts and probably, you want to come up and do some? You guys want to come up and watch him up close? Would that be helpful? We'll make a real guinea pig out of it. You want to do that or not? Sure. We don't have to. All right, come on. You guys want to watch? You're going to learn more by watching this up close, okay? All right, good. All right, so let's go up to G. Da, like I did the scale. Was it you a minute ago or might have been Tim? Da, 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 and put breath accents on the upper G. But play all the way up the scale so you got kind of a... That's what we want. You guys want to watch him? Come on. All right. Now, I'm going to point here and show them what's going on, okay? All right? Good. Those are nice and tight. So whatever you've done has been good. All right, you guys want to come over here? I know this is a little weird, but it's okay. That's how we learn. Yeah, come on over here. It's no different than becoming a doctor and taking dead bodies apart to go. All right, good. All right, so you guys are going to have to watch him right here. Watch what happens and tell me what happens. Watch right here. Breath out. Good. What direction?
Kind of forward.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Okay.
It feels like they're going back.
Well, that's why I say I don't want to, whatever you feel like, that's cool. I'm not putting words, whatever you're doing, you're there.
All right.
You just need to do a lot more of it, right? You guys, it's pretty subtle. So he's good at this. So, you've either trained smart or trained hard or something, but something's working the way we want it to. But that's what I didn't, I've never met Matt before in my life. So I said, Matt, you got to help me out here. Okay? Does that make sense? Now, while you guys are up here, let me show you something differently. Okay? I don't have my mirror, but you're going to see 1, 2, and back here. You're going to see 3 little rows of muscles. What I'm going to do is show you how far back I play. So you guys want to get up and look carefully, right? We're going to show you that valves are for weenies. We're going to do a whole bunch of stuff without using our valves. Okay? We got it? Are you sure? Or is it the farther right? It's the farther backwards. Okay. You want to see it again? Okay, so we're going to get smart. We're going to learn to play back further. Right, gentlemen? We're going to learn to play back further. What's that going to do to our aperture?
Push the corners forward.
Well, it's going to take weight off them. We'll put it back here, the heavy lifting. There's some architecture, guys. There's engineering here. We want to engineer this baby so all the heavy lifting gets done back here instead of here. That's what we call relaxing, right? So we can keep that aperture open. We got to baby that little guy. Now, just so you know, most of my whole career, your potential careers, wherever we're going with this, is really involved with 2 millimeters of upper lip that has to vibrate just perfectly. I mean, that's pretty weird, right? 2 millimeters of upper lip that has to vibrate just perfectly. Of course, we have to keep the lower one to vibrate sympathetically, keep it locked in place too. All right, so how are we going to do that? Well, if we're smart, we'll transfer the heavy workload farther and farther back. All right, now I'll tell you guys, I could not do that when I was your age. Okay, what you're seeing is the product of doing this for lots of years and tearing it apart. Okay, so don't freak out if you, I don't know if I'll ever play back there. No, it's not going to be that way. It's going to be bending lots of notes, getting the mirror out, blowing through those register breaks, and getting those seams. I love the word seams. Every instrument has seams. Where are the seams on pianists? You guys ever play piano at all? Surely, I know you go to major schools, you've seen wonderful pianists. Do you know where the seams are on piano? Well, there are a couple. First of all, if you're right-handed like I am, that means you have to bring your left hand up to be as smart as your right hand. That's one seam right there. We don't want this hand to sound like a Neanderthal club while this hand is playing Romeo and Juliet or something, okay? Good. All right, so that's one theme for beginning pianists. You go da-da-da-da. Every time that thumb hits, it's like a club. Ta-da-da-da. Well, we got to sew those seams together. We have to train these other fingers, and we won't go into it now how you do that as a pianist. Okay, also play piano. How about the seams in the voice? You guys know this. I know you do. Where are the seams in the voice?
Parts out of our normal vocal range.
Right. We have a word for that. You guys know this. Falsetto or head voice. Yeah. I'll show you mine. It's really embarrassing, but I'll do it anyway. Right. Da. Hear mine click? I'm not a professional singer. I can't control that and disguise it so you don't know it's there. All right, on a really good singer, once you get to know him, you'll know, oh, I see how he or she is glossing over that, okay? So that's a huge seam and that we can all relate to, because if you'll sing and do that, you say, oh, okay, I get that. Mother Nature's just put that head voice in there, okay, or falsetto. Good. How about on violin or string instruments? You play up the scale, and then you switch strings, or you scooch up to the next position, right? Huge, huge seams that have to be sewn together. Now, our job is to make this look easy and sew those seams together. Okay, so we're going to go through those register breaks and we're going to glue them together with air like we got him to do so well. Okay, we're going to control this so we can basically not make it work anymore. We're going to play back further so we get whatever control is necessary as far away from that aperture as possible. And we're going to float on that column of air. We're going to call down to the engine room and say, you guys busy down there today? We got a big concert coming up. Okay, instead of another high C, I could lose my job or my graduate assistantship or whatever, you know. Okay, so we're going to try to combat these things with very practical experience, which will help us with performance anxiety, because now we have a knowledge base to work from in front of a base of, instead of a base of fear. Okay, which is how we all, me too. I've been through all this stuff and I'm still going through it if I'm not careful, so I work carefully. All right, you guys have any other, have a seat if you want. We got to wrap up here. You guys have any other questions before we wrap up? You understand how technology can help us with performance anxiety? Is that starting to make sense? All right, you got to do that stuff a lot now, so you're good at it, right? Any other questions before we sign off?
Did you say you have some exercises to work on?
They're both basically right in here, yeah. And you can find me around here the next day or so. I'm happy to talk. We just ran out of time, but I got at least probably the more basic ones to get you started. Plus, using you guys as guinea pigs is much more helpful than me just telling you about it. You know, I want you to hear from somebody that we're really working with, and then you hear their progress and say, oh, I can see what I can do with this 16-year-old young man. Maybe I can do that too. I'm smarter than he is because I'm older. I'm just teasing. But you understand? So we go, okay, I see where I need to go. Now I will incorporate that into my playing. Make sense? You have good question. Any other questions? I've enjoyed working with you. Yeah. Hope you enjoyed the private lessons, private public lessons. All right. And I'll be around. Don't hesitate to hit me with other questions or email me. You know, sometimes I can't really answer things over email without hearing what you're doing. Of course, there's always Skype. Hearing what you're doing or, you know, seeing it visually. You know, like you thought you were moving those corners back. You're doing that exactly right. You're just better at it than you thought. No, I mean, that's good though. That's a nice problem to have, right, Nathan? What grade are you in, or where do you go to school?
I go to the same school as him.
Oh, so you're high school also.
We're the same age.
Some high school band director has a couple of really good players in there. That's good. That's my favorite guy. Got players like you. Thanks, guys, for being with us today. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed working with you, and thanks for, you know, hanging out and being guinea pigs. Thanks, guys. Good stuff. Thank you.